But it's like, damn, I can't seem to catch up even if I tried. So why does it seem like everybody else is just sort of like moving along in life and I'm over here just stuck? And not even just stuck. That's not even the worst of it. It's I can't figure out why I'm stuck and I can't move forward. I think that to me was the most frustrating part. And if it's something that kind of resonates with you, if that sounds like a little familiar, I'm here to tell you that you're not by yourself at all. A lot of women go through that. A lot of people go through that. And especially if you're dealing with um, situations that could be either like traumatic or, like it just, raising kids, which is a huge, huge thing. That's a lifelong journey. Then it would make sense that you kind of start to notice things about yourself that you might not have noticed before. You might notice huge changes and you might notice like some identity shifts, right? It sounds like a lot. It really does, but don't worry about it. That's what I'm here for. We can talk it out. We can really have this conversation because, again, this is something that I'm not just talking about because it's like a hot button topic. I'm talking about it because it's something that I have gone through. Sometimes I'm still going through it, but for the most part, I've been able to move past it or not move past it, but I've been able to work my way through it. And I want to be able to give that, I don't want to say advice necessarily, but I just want to be able to share my experience with you because it might be something that helps you. It might be something that can finally get you kind of out of that, like, I don't know, that sort of low area that you've been trying to figure out for the longest. So that's what we're here for. Hello again. I can't believe we are back. Trying to be consistent, y'all. Please bear with me. So we are back with yet another wonderful video, right? I wanted to tackle some topics this season that I have been struggling with, and I feel like you could possibly be struggling with. I feel like if you weren't, you probably wouldn't have clicked on the video. One of the things I really wanted to talk about, which is so near and dear to my heart because I feel like I always lack energy no matter what, is to make a video that like really discusses about like in this season just like being tired. And sometimes there's like really no explanation as to what's going on with you, why you're tired, why do you feel like you just really can't get up and do the things that bring you joy, right? And I know that I have been struggling with it for quite a long time. Some of these things I've been battling with honestly since like my kids were like little. And I'm talking about like the type of exhaustion that like you get up in the morning and you've had a restful sleep for the most part, but you still feel kind of tired, right? So we're going to get into all of that today. If this is something that you are interested in, please make sure that you stay tuned to the entire conversation because this is going to be meaty. It's going to be a little juicy. I'm going to give you some tips, some tricks, some things that have helped me and it might help you. So make sure you stay tuned. If you got a wine, if you got a margarita, go ahead and crack it open because you already know what time it is. We're about to get into it. Stay tuned. I have been trying a new format lately with making sure that I have everything on my phone. So if you see me looking down, it's not that I'm trying to lose eye contact with you. It's that I just have to stay organized. And you know me, like my thoughts just be all over the place. If I'm not in my phone looking at my notes, I could ramble for days. I don't want to do that to you guys. So I really want to just go ahead and get right into it. So I will say for me personally, I felt that I felt kind of like that chronic fatigue, that chronic like exhaustion for a while. I'm talking about like years, a really, really long time. And I never really understood what was going on with me, right? I kind of never really got that, like that check-in. And so it was things that I sort of silently noticed, like, oh, I'm waking up in the morning and I'm sleeping for like 8-9 hours. And typically on any other day of the week, I feel like that would be enough, right? But during this time, it's just not. And I can't explain why. I don't know what's going on with me. And I'm just feeling like I am low energy at the start of the day, right? And throughout the day, it's just sort of kind of like, whatever, I'm trying to pick up on it, but it doesn't seem to want to pick up. I have low energy when it comes to even doing like the smallest of things, right? And not to mention, this is also taking effect on my attitude, right? Because it's like now I'm low energy, so it's kind of like low vibration. I'm not trying to do a whole lot. Don't ask me to do anything. If it was like you sent me a text message, I'd be like, I just don't know if I have the energy to text back. Like it was that bad. I'm not going to hold you. It was like, I had to really decide whether or not I was making an excuse or if I was just being lazy. And that is the part that I was trying to figure out. I think for me personally, that day to day kind of just was like, it was very like, I would tell my husband, he would ask me like, oh, how'd your day go? Blah, blah, blah. And I would say like, my day was difficult. Like it was a difficult day. Insert word here, difficult blank day. It was just that hard. Like I just felt that way. And everything was hard. More so because I made it that way, but again, I still couldn't figure out why that was. I had to try to fill in the blank, but how do you fill in the blank when you just don't know the answer? Make it make sense, because I don't know. And with all of the noise in my life that was happening with kids and work and taking care of my mom and doing all the things, it's like, how do you quiet the noise enough to check in with yourself and figure out what the hell is happening? It's like life is just going on. Everyone is growing up. They're getting older. People are doing things. You're noticing everything from the sidelines, right? But it's like, damn, I can't seem to catch up even if I tried. So why does it seem like everybody else is just sort of like moving along in life and I'm over here just stuck? And not even just stuck. That's not even the worst of it. It's I can't figure out why I'm stuck and I can't move forward. I think that to me was the most frustrating part. And if it's something that kind of resonates with you, if that sounds like a little familiar, I'm here to tell you that you're not by yourself at all. A lot of women go through that. A lot of people go through that. And especially if you're dealing with situations that could be either like traumatic or, like it just, raising kids, which is a huge, huge thing. That's a lifelong journey. Then it would make sense that you kind of start to notice things about yourself that you might not have noticed before. You might notice huge changes and you might notice like some identity shifts, right? It sounds like a lot. It really does, but don't worry about it. That's what I'm here for. We can talk it out. We can really have this conversation because, again, this is something that I'm not just talking about because it's like a hot button topic. I'm talking about it because it's something that I have gone through. Sometimes I'm still going through it, but for the most part, I've been able to move past it not move past it, but I've been able to work my way through it. And I want to be able to give that, I don't want to say advice necessarily, but I just want to be able to share my experience with you because it might be something that helps you. It might be something that can finally get you kind of out of that, like, I don't know, that sort of low area that you've been trying to figure out for the longest. So that's what we're here for. I think sometimes when we go through situations, we tell ourselves certain things that sort of pacify us in that moment, So like one of the things I'll say that I would always tell myself that just, I don't know, I feel like I kind of gaslit myself quite a bit, but I would always tell myself like, don't worry about it. Things will get better. Because they will. I mean, that is the truth, but it didn't really help in the moment. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it's kind of like that one friend that's kind of like, oh, don't worry about it, girl. You'll be good. I'll pray for you. So anyway, it's like, that didn't help. That didn't help at all. I would always tell myself, don't worry about it. Things will get better. This won't last very long. Whatever this is, right? But for me, that wasn't good enough because I wanted to know when I might see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's the information that I wasn't getting. So I wasn't satisfied. The turning point for me was, I'm going to like fast forward this just a little bit. The turning point for me was when I started to realize that I'm the person who has the power to change my reality. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy. Sounds kind of deep, but at the same time, it's like, okay, that's like a real broad statement, right? So how exactly did you do that? Okay, yeah, you have the power to do that. You have the power to change your reality, but what were like your steps? What did you do specifically? So for me, what I did specifically was I really stopped making excuses, right? Wow, I need glasses. The mistakes that I fixed in order to get to that point was of course, I started small, but one of the things I realized that I was doing that I didn't really want to admit that I was doing was that I was making a lot of excuses, right? I was making excuses for not doing things this is going to sound so weird, but just stay with me, okay? I was making excuses for a lot of things that I knew that I had power over. I could really like control that narrative, but I just didn't do it and I couldn't understand why. I'm going to give you an example. One of the things I used to do, I almost took joy in canceling plans. Once upon a time. And that was unusual for me because I'm the type of person where I'm very bubbly. I'm kind of like, I like to always be with my friends. I like to just have fun. And I was really getting to a point that I was isolating myself from them. Not because of anything they did or anything like that. It was just that I was in a place where I wasn't really happy. I wasn't finding joy in the things I typically would find joy in. As I'd mentioned earlier, I just was closed off. Again, there was no real reason why I was doing that. Or to me, it wasn't real, right? I wasn't understanding why I was doing that. I was just watching myself sort of like deteriorate. And I'm like, yo, am I going through depression? Like, what's happening? This is going to sound so bad. Just know that I do not take like mental health as a joke, but I just felt like I could not be a person who goes through depression. Does that make any sense? Is that weird? Am I weird for saying that? Because I feel like I'm weird for saying that. But I was like, I don't feel that. I don't feel like I could go through that. Not that I feel like I was better than anybody else. It's just that I'm like, I just don't see myself as being a person who's depressed. I don't. But I'm pretty sure other people who go through depression don't see that either or have not seen that until they went through what they went through. So I just was like trying to make sense of it. And I'm like, it's none of it is making sense. Absolutely none of it. So I had to really like sit down with my thoughts and just be like, okay, let's kind of like talk to ourselves like we're toddlers, right? Why are you doing what you're doing? Take maybe 5 seconds to think about it. Just give me like a 1-sentence explanation. Why am I doing that? Why am I canceling plans with my friends? Now, why are you taking joy in canceling plans with your friends? This is just an example. It's a real life example that truly did happen. I started doing a little bit of sort of self-exploration and really trying to get to the bottom of why I was doing what I was doing, especially when it's not something I would typically do. And I started doing a little bit of research to try to understand more about like postpartum depression, because this was when my youngest was very, very young. And I would cancel plans, which would result in me being home all the time, which would result in me being with the kids all the time, which would result in me being stressed out, because I had this one side where I felt very fulfilled with being with my family, but I had another side that was just like, damn, I'm a human being and I need to get out. But I was canceling plans all the time. So I gave myself permission to continue to be in my funk. And that was wild because, again, this is not like your girl. I would be out and about and and it wasn't happening. You couldn't tell me anything. That's the crazy part. Like sometimes my phone would be right next to me. You text me, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that. And I'd be like, I probably wouldn't check the text. It would be a long time. For me, the breaking point was when I went to lunch with my girls and they asked me, it's funny now, it wasn't funny at the time, but they had asked me like, hey, you think you're going through like postpartum? And I stopped for a second because I was gonna cry. And I'm like the type of person where I'm like, I don't want you to see me cry. I don't want you to see me cry. I'm not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. And just when I was gritting my teeth, tears just came down. And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know. Because I couldn't explain it. I couldn't make sense of it myself. So how am I going to make sense of it to somebody else? I'm navigating something that is completely unfamiliar territory. And you're asking me a question that in essence could be a simple question, but at the same time it's very loaded because I don't know. I think when I was tearing up at the table, it became apparent that we should change the subject because I was like, the one damn time I go out, this is what happens. But at the same time, it was an eye-opening experience because it needed to happen. The question needed to be asked. It needed to be faced, even if I wasn't really ready to face it yet. I feel like I've had more than enough time to try to get to the bottom of it, but I had to confront it so that way I can do more research on my own and figure things out. I later wound up getting into therapy. It was a short period of time, but I wound up getting into therapy, and that was helpful too. But I started watching videos, and I started realizing the importance of human connection, and I would do the opposite of what I was doing to isolate myself. So then I started creating opportunities for me to get out there and be with my friends again, because I felt like maybe if I had more of that like familiar feeling, I'd be like, you know what? I don't necessarily feel like I'm there, like I'm back necessarily, but we're getting closer. And that's the important thing, because it takes baby steps sometimes to get out of that hole that you're in. And you owe it to yourself to be able to find out what that is. Even if you don't know what it is or how to go about it, you can do the research that it takes to, take those necessary steps. And I feel like for me, being in that position and realizing that I needed my friends more probably than they needed me in that moment was so pivotal. And looking back on it now, I'm really glad that I made that decision, because it really takes a mature mindset. It really just takes it's just so introspective. When you realize like you really do need that. You do. And I'm listen, everybody heals differently. Everybody goes through different situations. I'm not here to say again like because I did it then you should do that too. Like do that. It's just something that helped me, could be something that helps you too. But bottom line, I took accountability for my actions. I realized that what I was doing clearly wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for my friends, because they were getting so pissed off that I was, declining a lot of invitations that they just stopped asking me to hang out. And I had to make a decision. I really did. For me, for my sanity, my mental health, our friendship. It was very important for me. And I realized that at the end of the day, what was most important was just making sure that my overall well-being was good. And I needed to address something that previously had never even been an issue. I never would think twice about it, because I never dealt with anything as heavy as anxiety or depression or any of those things. And so now I have to do something different in order to get back. And that was super helpful. I would also make excuses a lot about not moving my body. That was something that I didn't realize. I kind of took that for granted, that I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing anything to make my body feel like it's useful. And so the older I became, the more my body kind of just sort of started breaking down a little bit. I didn't want to admit it, but I started having issues like high blood pressure, and I would have like headaches. Golly, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on. Like, it's crazy. Okay, so I turned 40 back in September of last year. And so it seemed like the minute that my body knew that I turned 40 years old, it was just like, oh, we're going to just break down bit by bit. Now when I walk up the stairs, like my left knee is just popping every step. Like, it's wild. It sounds like gristle popping. It's pretty disgusting. I'll be like, if I walk a few steps, like I'm already out of breath. It's like, come on, Rose. We could do better than that. We don't have to break down like that. 40 is like seasoned. You know what I'm saying? It's not old, it's seasoned. So I'm like, just treat your body the right way. You know what I'm saying? Making other excuses like, oh my gosh, I can't eat right because I don't have time. Like, okay, well, you need to make time, because if you continue to eat poorly, 9 times out of 10, you're not making unhealthy foods, you're buying unhealthy foods, and that's expensive. So why don't we cook a little bit more? Why don't we meal prep? We don't have enough time. Let's do some grocery delivery. Let's stop making excuses for why we can't get things done. And not to like fall into a comparison trap, but just like you can't turn off the fact that other people are in similar situations and they're taking accountability for their actions. Like, don't like be on the sidelines watching yourself just, fall into the depths. We can control it. Right? We can. And so some of those things have been very helpful for me, to help me not return to who I was, but to be a better version, right? So that plus this equals that. We're curating as we go along. And I think that's one of the things I really like about being 40, because I have a different set of lenses now. Like, I have a completely different set of lenses, because like I thought I had time. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're in your 20s, even when you're in your 30s, you're like, oh, I got time. No, you don't. And I just released a video that kind of talked about that, because and this is something that I'm going to be discussing. It's something we're going to have conversations about because you think you have time until you don't. And I don't mean like until you're out of here. I'm talking about when you're looking back and you're like, dang, I really didn't do a whole lot like I thought I was going to be. Yeah, I thought I was going to be in a different place by the time I got to a certain age. And yeah, I'm not. I'm not. So we need to work on that as it pertains to the things that I'm doing in my life currently in order to be a better version of myself. I do feel lighter, right? So the best thing that I love about any videos that I've seen, like on YouTube, I watch videos. I don't necessarily watch people who are already where they want to be. Sometimes I do because I'm like, oh, that's great to see what it looks like on the other side. But I really enjoy watching the journey more than anything, right? Seeing a person start from like here and moving their way up. It's such an experience when you can really connect with another human being and see what it is that they are doing, how they're doing it, how it's working for them, seeing all of the successes, the failures, everything, and just seeing the growth, like that gradual growth. Like that's so dope. And I love all of it. So that's why I'm like, I really like give ups to all of my content creators, all my digital creators who are out there, people who are really just doing it and documenting their lives, because I think that that's something that's so key, right? And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, for sure. I like all of that. I don't really know where I was going with that point, but I just felt like I needed to put that in there somehow. But if you are in that position, if you are kind of like at a point in your life where you're trying to make that transition and you're trying to be better and those types of things, my piece of advice, I'm just going to give you like this little piece of advice midway through, is just it's okay to slow down. I just don't want you to stop, right? That's the biggest thing. That wasn't a part of my notes, but it's just kind of something that popped in my head that I really wanted to share, because I think that sometimes we have that, like, you ever hear like the microwave generation, like, oh, we want everything right now. It's got to happen right now. But sometimes when it comes to growth, it takes time. And the reason it takes time is because time is necessary. Because there's certain things, there's certain lessons that you're going to learn, certain paths that you have to take to get to where you need to get to. And if you get there a little bit quicker than what you're ready for, when you get there, you're not going to be able to know how to handle that season at all. Like, I'm here to tell you. You're not going to know what to do with it. So please don't stop. Just keep going. Keep being motivated. If I have to get on here and I have to tell you to keep being motivated, I'm going to do that. I have to do what I have to do. It is what it is. But yeah, if you are finding it difficult to navigate your current environment, your schedule, whatever it is that you have going on, I think that you're going to find this video most useful. Certain excuses that I kind of want you to like put out of your mind, that I think a lot of people on the outside, especially who don't understand what it is that you're going through, are going to tell you they're going to give you like blanketed pieces of advice that really don't help your situation. So they might tell you something like, oh, you got tough skin, just tough it out. You'll be all right. Don't you love that? Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. To a degree, that can be helpful, but not at all times. I think anyone who tells you that you are incapable of handling your life at this time, who don't have like key pieces of information to come to that conclusion, you really have to watch those people. There's some people who, again, this is slightly off topic, but just hear me out because this is related. Some people just don't have your best interest at heart. I've talked about this briefly in other videos, but you just have to be mindful of who's in your space, because that has a big influence too on you and your life and what it is that you're going through. If you are trying to be better, if you're trying to elevate in your life, you are going to need to take a look at who is around you. That's going to be very telling for you. And I'm not here to say like, oh my, you got to X people out, you got to do this, you got to do that. But I would just venture to say maybe start by putting a little bit of distance between you and that person and see how you feel during that time period. If you feel like during that time period, like, hey, listen, I need this person is pivotal in my life, or they're very valuable to my life. I can't see myself living without this person, then by all means keep them a part of your life. Who am I to tell you what to do, right? If this person is causing you more harm than good, toxic, dysfunctional, I would venture to say you probably need to put some space between you and that person, because you don't need that crap, right? At this stage in the game, you are at a certain place for a certain reason, and there are people who are going to drag you down, whether or not they mean to, okay? There's some people who would intentionally just tug at you, but then there are other people who don't even realize it. Some people have things that are just so innate within them, that dysfunction, all that toxicity. They're going to just try to like, they're going to try to put their claws in you. Again, That's not everybody, but if you feel me, you feel me. I think we all kind of have people like that in our lives. So take that information and do with it what you will. But I want to offer that up to you because, again, that wasn't part of my notes, but I feel the need to share that with you because, um, hindsight is 2020. And I speak from experience. Moving on, I wish that going through what I was going through in like in my postpartum stage, I wish that there was more emphasis on kind of dealing with the change of identity. Being able to like go from a person who is single to a person who is engaged and married and all the things, and then going instantly to, not instantly, I'm not going to say instantly, but going into motherhood has been one of the hardest transitions for me. And the reason why is because I had to really come to the conclusion that not only am I not the same person I was, but I will never be that person again. It was a good thing, right? Because, I mean, life is about change, right? But I also feel like it was crazy because I didn't know that to a degree. But I wouldn't have known that because that's not something that anyone could just tell you, right? That's something that I would have to experience. And so I feel like I wish I would have gotten that education. You know what I mean? Like at least, like I hear about it, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes when you don't have kids, you ain't trying to hear all that. You're just kind of like, yeah, I know, finances. It's like, it's not just about that. That's important, but it's not just about that. Like I really lost a huge gap of the person I was and trying to figure out who that is while navigating a new space with not one, but two tiny people. It really made me look at my previous self like, wow, girl, like, yeah, you had it good, this and that, but there are just so many more responsibilities. There's so many things that it's kind of like I didn't really factor in until this point. And understanding all of the advice that I've received about sort of like being the neck of the household and all of that stuff, like that stuff that's like damn, that is, it hits different. I think that's the only way I can really articulate that. Like it hits different when you go through it. If you're smart, you don't put your hand on a hot stove, right? I'd like to think that. But sometimes life is the best teacher, okay? It just is what it is. You got those like stubborn, hard-headed kids, i.e. me, and you got to go through stuff in order to really have the experience. But I think also more than anything, you have to go through stuff in order to be able to teach that stuff or in order to be able to share your experiences and be able to relate to other people, which is a large part of the reason why I am creating a lot of the content that I am creating. Because listen, I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't know who's going to be watching the video. I kind of don't care who's going to be watching. Like I do, but I don't. At the end of the day, it's really just me sharing my experiences and to let other people know that they're seen, they're heard, you're seen, you're heard, that nobody is alone in this. I think that we all have something that we could share with someone else. And this is important to me because even though it might be something that some people sleep on, when you get in the situation, you're going to realize like, wow, this is pertinent. I need to know this information. I need to have this understanding because one of the biggest things I think we could take advantage of, especially as a younger person, is the energy. When you're young, you got the energy. You got it. You got it to spend it. When you're older, you need to conserve as much as possible. So, you know what I'm saying? That's why older people take naps. You guys, come on. You know what time it is. I think some excuses that people make for why they are going through anything, like a rut or something like that, they might be telling themselves that they are lazy, that they're not motivated enough, that they're not good enough, that they are incapable of handling certain things. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. I don't. I think those are things that we tell ourselves because if you say, oh, well, I'm just being lazy, it's looked at more as a temporary thing when there could be something that's a little bit deeper going on. Now, I think it goes without saying, I'm not a medical professional. In my case, there was something that was deeper going on. And it wasn't that I wasn't motivated necessarily. I think when I got to a certain point, when I got called out for, are you going through, postpartum? It became like, okay, I'm not the only one who notices that something is off. Clearly, some other people are noticing it from the outside in, and I'm being called out on it, and I need to address it because it is affecting the people in my space. So I had to really do little small things at first and do research and watch videos and see what I can find out for myself. And is there anybody else going through the same situation I'm going through? What is it? Is there a name to it? Is there something that I can pinpoint? I was doing everything. I was going to therapy. I was going to doctors' offices. I was like, just put me on any medication. I just want to feel good. But then I had to kind of like reel it back in because I felt like I was going down a crazy path. But in that journey, I started finding out that my search for the answer really, I don't want to say like the answer lies within you, but it was something that was telling, right? Now, remember, throughout this entire thing, I am trying to keep in mind how introspective I've become. Because I'm realizing that, okay, like you're looking for these answers, you're doing quite a bit of research. You're trying to figure out what's going on. And you're taking these steps to get back with keeping that human connection going with like your friends. You are taking notes. You're going to doctor's offices. You're talking things out in therapy. You are really taking accountability for these things. This is huge. As weird as this sounds, this is probably going to be like not really make much sense, but I don't know. Maybe it might. I became empowered through that process to continue to do more and more things that kind of like stacked on top of that to make me feel better in that moment and to make me feel like I have more of a sense of belonging. I have a little more of a purpose, that I shouldn't just rely on who I was back then. Back then, i.e., before marriage, before kids, all the things. Your identity shift is essentially you're coming into a completely different person. And sometimes, you got to shed that skin. You can't keep that. There's no way. There's literally no way. And, not to get biblical or anything like that, but I'm going to. It's like even, the Bible talks about like the burdens that are placed on you in your life, and the fact that the burdens are placed on you in your life because you are deemed as an individual who can handle those things. And I never really thought about that. It just didn't dawn on me. And I was like, am I tough? Am I a person who's got mental toughness? Do I have perseverance to get through this? How are people getting through this? And how are people like single parents? Like they're superheroes. I have so much respect for people who are single parents and people who have like multiple kids because it's wild. I have friends. This is going to be kind of crazy. We all were pregnant at the same time. Not all of my friends, but like a good group of us. We were sharing our experiences. So that was helpful too, because now I knew that we were all running the same race. And it felt great to be able to relate to other people who were like in the same position because I wasn't alone. I felt good in that moment because I'm like, not for nothing. I'm not saying anything about my friends who don't have kids, but it's different when you're talking to people who not only are in the same race as you, but it's the timing too. So it was really helpful to be able to have that to say, we are going through the same thing. It might be slightly different. Your circumstance might be different than mine, but we having kids at the same time. Like that's dope. I just have to say that. It just really allowed me to see that the comparison trap where it's like, oh, well, this mama right here, she's doing it. She's got her stuff together and she doesn't look like she's struggling or anything like that. It was like I kind of fell out of that. Now, it still creeps up from time to time because I'm human and I see things and I hear things all the time. But I'm like, I always kind of have to take it back and say, listen, the journey is tough for a lot of people. It just is. Okay. And whenever you're dealing with, like in my instance, I deal with kids who take a lot of my energy and things like that. But I also deal with other things. Like I deal with work, I deal with, being a caretaker for my mom. It's just certain things that do require a lot of attention. They require energy. They do require certain things from you specifically. I started looking at it more as like a blessing. I have a lot of responsibilities, but I also have a lot of people in my life. I have a lot of people in my corner. I needed to come to the realization that people were willing to help me. I just needed to ask. And I'm a tough cookie. At least I think so. And I don't like to ask for help. I don't, but I needed it. I don't want you to feel like if you need something that you shouldn't ask for help or that you shouldn't say something. You owe it to yourself to seek the necessary help that is needed if you're going through what you're going through. And even though this is a video that really talks about like getting your energy back, or these videos talk about getting your energy back, it's important to just be mindful that you do have to take the first steps to reach that point, right? You have to be proactive in your own recovery. And that's going to be the one thing that's essential, because when you look back, you're going to be like, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I reached out. I'm glad I said something to somebody. I didn't just hold it all in, because we tend to do that. I say we, doesn't have to be you necessarily, but I know me, I do that. It's not always good. You shouldn't have to feel like you need to bottle things up. You can talk to people about it, and you can be transparent, and you can feel okay in that, even if it's people you don't know. Sometimes I'll be on social media and I'll just be telling all my little business. So I want to kind of just say this, because I feel like this is a very important part, and I've kind of touched on it throughout the video, but I really have to punch this in. Your daily habits really are the things that are affecting your quality of life, whether they're good or they're bad. If there are some things that you know that you are involved in that you probably shouldn't be involved in, that they really don't contribute to your health, whether we're talking about physical, mental, or any other aspect, then I urge you to look into that, right? Just look into it. So that way, that's something that can be addressed. You don't have to like live in like unhappiness or just not being content, at least with your life. There's a lot of people who are just dealing with like a lot of pain, and I think that it would be so much better for them if they had like an outlet, right? If they had someone that they can talk to, or if they had like something that they can get into, even creatively, I think would be so helpful. Making these changes have allowed me to feel a lot stronger. They've allowed me to feel more empowered. There are two main things that I have done. That has been cutting out alcohol, which I have done for the last few weeks, actually. It's been very, very helpful for me. And I've also been able to see a lot of positive things that have come from not having that a part of my lifestyle anymore, not being in my body anymore. And also I've cut out caffeine, which is very difficult, especially when you are older and have a lot of responsibilities, because I used to just self-medicate. I would be downing coffees in the morning, and I would down a couple of margaritas at night, just to make sure that I kind of like got through the day a little bit easier, because sometimes I know it's going to be a long day, so I need caffeine to get me through, and I know it's going to be a night where I just want to chill out, so I'm like, I just want to have like a drink or two or maybe three. That was just kind of like the way that I handled things. And I started looking back on my days, and I started realizing like I'm just like essentially drinking my life away. And I'm like, I don't want to do that no more. Like, this is not fun. What am I doing? I'm literally drinking my life away, and my days are going by, my nights are going by, my years are going by, and I'm not doing anything I feel that's fulfilling. I'm not living my purpose. I'm just sort of existing. And that's just no fun. I can't do that anymore. I had to make a change, and I'm glad that I did. I'm actually going to be doing another video, because as soon as I hit the 30-day mark or a little bit after, I'm really going to be deep diving into all of the things that comes with not having any alcohol in my system, any caffeine in my system. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of that. So if it's something that you guys are interested in or you're thinking about, I want you to rock with me, because it's a lot, and we're going to unpack all of it. I really started taking this more seriously. So I've been redesigning my life with the absence now of alcohol, the absence of caffeine, and also implementing other things. Like, you guys, this is off camera, so you can't really see it, but I'm going to just go ahead and show you. This is the bare minimum, 50 ounces of water a day. Now, I drink a lot more than that. I drink close to a gallon, which is 128 ounces. So I'll take this down plus another 50 ounce that I have in the fridge. And I'll usually do about 25 ounces of water pretty early in the day. So I'm getting my day started like it's nobody's business. So if you see me chugging that, just know I'm just trying to keep up with just making sure that my body is efficiently running and hydrated and healthy, because I can't be continuing to break down after the ripe age of 40. It's just not going to happen, okay? I'm approaching 41 this year, and I don't want to look like it. I've been focusing on getting a lot more sleep, so somewhere between 7 to 9 hours. I haven't really been able to get up to the 9. 8 sometimes is not always guaranteed, but I try to lock down 7 as much as possible. Even tonight, I'm up a little bit late, so I'm going to try for 7 tonight, but it is a learned thing, right? It's just something I'm going to have to continue to practice and just get better and better at it. What else am I doing? Of course, I'm working out. I'm working out a lot more now these days. But it's actually a really good thing because I'm just getting my body back to getting used to building that muscle, right? Another thing that we're going to get into as well, especially for my ladies, we're going to be talking about perimenopause. We're going to be talking about all the changes that we're experiencing and the things specifically that I'm doing to make sure I'm sort of fighting against it, at least to the best of my ability. Because I say fight against it, I'm just kind of teasing, but I want to do the best I can to make sure that my body is running, is optimally a word. But anyway, I'm doing the best I can to make sure that my body runs efficiently. And so we're going to be getting into all that. So I'm going to tell you all the stuff that I'm doing for my diet, supplementation, all these things. And it kind of overlaps with some of the things that we talk about in terms of energy and why I have much more of it now than I probably had in previous videos. Because in previous videos, I just wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. These are major, they're not major changes. They're smaller changes, but they have such big impacts in my life. And it's such a positive thing. And so I see this being for the long haul, right? But we're going to go ahead and assess this over the next 6 months to like a year. That's at least my plan, to see where we are with it. If that's something that you're into, welcome. You're in the right spot. Feel free to subscribe and comment below too if you want to see more content as it pertains to that specifically. I can go ahead and I can film that, because listen, we could talk all day, but sometimes you really just have to be able to see it. Some people just really want to see it. So I feel you. Just let me know. Oh crap, hold on. So we talked about the good, and we talked about the effects of the good. And but I kind of want to just touch on those nights, or even those mornings that could be a little bit tempting. So we can get into the real cost of, well, what if I just stay up one more late night? Or what if I have, like one more coffee? What's that gonna hurt? Or what if I have just like one more drink? So here's the real deal. In the grand scheme of things, staying up late one night, it's not gonna kill you. You know that, right? Having another coffee, it's not going to kill you. It might raise your blood pressure, but it's not going to kill you. At least not yet. If you have another drink, it shouldn't kill you, right? Like, that's not a big deal. It's just one. It's just one. So here's my issue with that. My issue with that is that if you can make an excuse to have just one, you can make an excuse to have just one more, right? If you can make an excuse to have just one more, then this shouldn't be a problem because you got it under control, right? So then this isn't so bad. So, I mean, you might as well round up. It's not that bad, right? I think you get my point. If you continue to make an excuse for just one more this, just one more that, this isn't so bad. Why don't we do this? Well, we're already here. We might as well do that. That compounds too. Just like the good can compound, the bad can compound. I'm not here to give you like a life lesson on, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I think we already know just one more this, especially when you start a sentence off with just. Like, I feel like that's a problem. We don't want to get into that. We want to just make sure that we're like building those good habits that's going to compound over time, especially like when we're just getting started. That's the wrong mentality to have. I'm trying not to judge, but I know me, and I know that I was making excuses to have just one more. Oh, well, maybe I'll just start tomorrow. Or this is my favorite. So if I'm going to start a diet tomorrow, that means that I need to pick out tonight. It leaves so much on the table, right? And in terms of you succeeding, the easiest thing you can do is to just start small. That's like literally the easiest thing that you could do. And I've said this before in other videos about like not making things so difficult. A shameless plug. I have another video that's coming out that we're going to be talking about in terms of like how to make, how do I want to say this? If there's certain things that you want to do, you don't have to overhaul your entire life to get it done. And there are so many things, there's so many books, there's so much research that, is out there that talks about the importance of starting small and stacking habits. Because if there's something that you want that's transformational, let's just use weight loss as an example, you don't have to go in with the mindset that like, oh my gosh, I have to hit the gym like 6 days a week and I have to eat clean and I got to drink so much water and I have to do this and I have to do that. You don't have to start there. I'll give you an example. When I start wanting to like lose weight and things like that, I start really small, like really small. And when I say really small, I mean like I'm going to drink more water. I might continue to do everything else I'm doing, but I'm going to start with drinking more water. And what happens is that my mind says, well, you know what? If you can drink more water, then why are you going to drink more water just for your body to do more work to have to like filter out all the toxins from the bad food that you're eating? So why don't you clean up your diet a little bit? Just a little bit. Okay, cool. I've already started drinking water. I've been doing that. So now it's like a cool habit. I've kind of got that down pat. Now I'm going to go ahead and start eating healthier. Cool. Now that we're doing that, why don't we go to the gym? And you don't have to be there very long. A small session. Start with upper body. I always start with upper body. We go to the gym and we feel better than we have in a really long time. What starts to happen for me, and I think that this is probably for you too, is that when you do something that feels good, you kind of get that dopamine hit, right? And now you don't want to stop. You don't know how long you're going to go, but you don't want to stop right now. You kind of like, oh, I want to keep it going because like I'm feeling like I can do this. It is possible. I just have to be committed. All you did was start with this. It's simple. You don't have to overhaul. You don't. That wasn't part of this video, but it is now. So those small habits do add up. They don't look like it in the beginning because it's the beginning, right? You're not going to lose 15 pounds of fat and then gain 15 pounds of muscle just by going to sleep. Like that's not going to happen, but you do have to start somewhere. And you know what? Let me just say for the record too, because I don't want to get eaten up in the comments, but like I'm trying not to sound negative. Okay. So just bear with me here. But I mean, you're going to fail at some point, right? We all do. We're human. And when I say fail, I know that tends to be subjective, but like when I say that, I just mean that you're going to let yourself down. You might even let other people down, but I mean, we all do. It's what happens. It's not necessarily about not failing. That's not what I'm getting at here. It's more so about making sure that even if you let yourself down or even if you do something that you're a little disappointed in, it's just about dusting yourself off, getting back up and just saying, okay, well, guess what? I might have done this, but I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get back on the horse and I'm going to start with this. That's what I do. That's why I go right back to water because for me, that's the lowest barrier of entry. And I don't know. I think I just sort of developed that habit when I was training many years ago. And then whenever I would fall off, I would go right back to what I knew was the easiest thing to do. And I would repeat that until it kind of stuck. And I would go through whatever I would go through until I fail again. That's just life. And things happen like that. And that's okay. You can make room for that. It's all good. For what it's worth, this is my journey. This is where I am in my life. And as I've said earlier, this is something that hits close to home because I still struggle with some days finding the energy to get up and actually like give a crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to sound like negative, but that's just kind of how it is sometimes. It's just life. And sometimes my energy levels are high and sometimes they're low, even with everything that I'm doing now. And sometimes my mood has a major effect on the day. I have to try to be as positive as I can, but it can be a struggle, especially if there are things that are on the outside that are affecting how I'm feeling on the inside. But just remember that whatever you do throughout your day, you make a choice, whether you know it or not. You do make a choice to how you're going to respond to those things. So These are mainly suggestions, and you can take it and you can do with it what you will. But I just ask that if you do find something useful from this video, if you do have like any kind of a takeaway, whatever, use that. Use that and move forward in a way that will help you become a better version of yourself. But I think we have that, like where we see we want to be in a certain place by a certain time, or we want to be this person. Like, it's doable, right? But as I said, I stand by this. Is, if you want different, you have to do different, right? I probably botched that up, but you get what I'm saying, right? As a ripe 40-year-old young lady, I am learning that I can't get set in my ways. I cannot. I don't care how I feel. I cannot get set in my ways, because if I do, nothing will get done. And that's just no fun if you can't have a little variation in your life. So I watch a lot of content, right? But it's really for educational purposes, because I'm trying to figure out how I can get to the next step and where I want to be in my life. And I feel like, what do I feel like? This is totally off the dome. There's no script here. I feel like it's enriching for me because I get a chance to really look outside of myself and say, I could potentially adopt this. And I'm doing it now. I'm doing it, still doing it, trying to create that commitment within, to myself, to show up for myself, to be present for myself, right? But not just for me. It's also for my children who are watching me. That is very important. And it's also for you. Not because I feel like I need to impress anybody. It's because how can I tell you, oh, try this, do that, and I'm not even doing it? Like, what kind of sense does that make? It makes no sense. But it is important. This is the journey. This is what I'm going through. And I want 6 months or a year from now to look back and be like, I'm proud of the changes that I've made in my life. And I'm glad I started when I did. It wasn't like, it's going to be a New Year's resolution. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't, I'm going to start on Sunday because that's the beginning of the week. It was, you know what? Let me try tomorrow and see how I feel. I'm going to just stop drinking alcohol. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to stop drinking caffeine. And I'm going to see how my body responds tomorrow on a Tuesday. And I'm going to just take note. That was 20 days ago. It was just 20 days. Just, right here I go again with the just. It was 20 days ago. And I don't think that it's too early for me to say that I don't see myself revisiting that point where I was on 21 days ago. Because 21 days ago, I was not in a good spot. With just 20 days, I'm in a better space than I've been in a very long time. But that's because of all of the small daily habits that I have adopted. It is me taking accountability for the things that I have not been doing. Shaming myself a little bit, admittedly, because I should know better. As a 40-year-old woman, I should know better. And as a mother of 2 beautiful young ladies, I should know better. And when you know better, ideally, you do better. This has been one of the coolest videos I think I've filmed to date. I know it's going to be helpful for you guys. It was something that was super helpful for me, but I have no problem deep diving if you guys really want to see the what's what and see what actually happens day to day, what I'm talking about, supplements, meal prep, workouts, all the things, because I'm here to help you guys out as much as I can, and I want to share everything with you guys. And when I find something that's helpful, I get right back here in this chair, I hop on, and we have a conversation. Thank you so much again for your time. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. I think I was going to say something else, but I don't know what it is, so I think it's time to sign off. This video has been going on long enough. I will catch you guys in the next video. If you find anything helpful in this video at all, if you like the content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. Introduce yourself. Let us know what's popping. I will comment back, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take it easy.